Thank you so much for that. Okay, so good morning and welcome to the 48th CALLERLAB Convention in Reno, Nevada. Today is Monday, April 24th, 2023, and this is the website design panel. I am Chris Jensen and will serve as a moderator for this session. Our panelist today is Ray Owens, who is currently connecting his computer. All right, we ask that you turn off or silence all of your electronic devices. We're the only ones who get to have electronic devices up here. All right. To assist with future convention planning, we're tracking attendance. I've already done that. As a reminder, this session is being recorded, so please make sure to use the microphone if you have a question or comment. I will be up here to make sure that you have a microphone. I will be running around. That's sort of my job here. Okay, now I get to add one more caller to our tally. Latecomers. Okay, so I'm here as the moderator. My background, I'm not an expert web designer. I did create my own websites back in the days when good website design meant not using too many fonts and not having flashing text. Okay, another non-caller. I should probably do this at the end when people have all been here. Okay, I also created a database-driven website for the Mesa callers way back when they had a lot of sessions, and did that back before it was quite so dangerous to create one's own website access database, website database access. Okay, what I do now is that websites should be responsive. Responsive design is hard and shouldn't be left to amateurs, and my role here is to introduce Ray Owens. And, so Ray lives in Ohio, runs the website Square Dance Tech, and this is his second year that he has done these panels at CALLERLAB. This session is about creating and maintaining a website for you as a professional caller. If you're also interested in using social media to promote yourself, your clubs, and square dancing in general, be here tomorrow, same time, same place, where Ray and Alan Hurst will discuss digital marketing. So, without further ado, Ray Owens.
Oh my. Oh my. Hi, good morning. For those of you who may not be familiar with who I am, my name is Ray Owens. I am not a caller. I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with a lot of callers and square dance associations over the last few years. Let me give you my brag thing here. I'm a web designer primarily, and I work on Buddy Weaver. Yeah, okay. Buddy takes a lot of work, so you know. Mike Seastrom's site, Jack Platty's site, Tony Oxendine. I'm the webmaster for all of those sites. If you attended the Evansville or the Jackson convention, I was the webmaster for both of those. If you registered online for those conventions, you did so through my online registration site, weavethering.com. And the reason why it's called Weave the Ring is I couldn't spell relay the doozy. So. This topic, even though it's titled Web Design, I'm not going to bore you with the nuts and bolts of actually how to design a website. I'm not going to show you how to upload a picture or how to format a file or anything like that. Instead, let's go with the basic supposition that to do business in the 21st century, you have to have a website. It's the building block of the internet, the websites and all. Just like a microphone and speakers for callers, it's really just another tool for you to promote and advance your career. And what I'm going to talk about are some important design elements that I think that each caller site or club site or organization or event site or anything like that should contain. If you already have a website, take what I'm giving you and go back and take a look at your website and go, we don't do this, all right? If you don't have a website, when you get a website designer or you decide to do it yourself, there's plenty of do-it-yourself things that I'm going to cover towards the end of this. Make sure that you put these things in your website. It's going to seem like that I'm going to pay a lot of attention to Google, and it's not that I'm a fan of Google, but they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They are the king of search. On the internet, search is everything, and it doesn't matter what Bing does or anybody else. Nobody's going to touch Google, at least not in the short term. Search is important because while you can spread the existence of your calling career, your club, your event, your organization or so, with a few tweaks with your computer, with your website and all, the search engines are going to drive that much further. They're going to promote you that much better, give you a much more efficient search engine. Being higher in the search rankings is important because most searchers never go beyond page 2 or 3 in the search engine. If you're stuck on page 4, if your site doesn't show up on page 4, forget it. Nobody's ever going to find you. And even if your site winds up on page 1, there's a bias built in to the search rankings. We'll get to this in a minute. What I did was a search for Square Dance Callers, Ohio. I live in Ohio. Right here, there's Caller Kenny. He's a fellow named Kenny. I'm his webmaster, and I think his last name. And then there's Jack Patty's underneath him. Now, to the uninitiated, the bias built into this is they're going to go, well, hey, Caller Kenny is a much better caller than Jack Patty's, and Jack pays me to say that's not true, okay? So all that out of the way, let's take care of one of the geeky things that your website needs right off the bat. Now, this is not one of my websites. This is a site out in California, and it's called Boots and Bows Square Dance. And it's a pretty site, and it's an attractive site. But here's the problem with it, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see this very clearly, but up in the corner, it says not secure. And that's because it doesn't have a secure server certificate on it. Right? And if you're not selling anything, and you're not gathering a lot of information from your users, your visitors to the site, you may think, well, why do I need this secure server thing? Back to Google. Back to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Google is down-ranking sites that don't have a secure server certificate on it. You'll wind up on page 57 with the search rankings or so instead of page 2, 1 maybe. So you've got to have a secure server certificate. Now, I'm going to abbreviate that as an SSL, which stands for Secure Sockets Layer. You don't need to remember that. These used to be expensive propositions, all right? In the early days when I first started designing websites back, with Fred and Barney and Dino and everything, when I first started doing that, it would cost you $300, $400 a year to have an SSL certificate. Now, ISPs giving away like candy. So of the 70-something websites that I'm currently the webmaster for, every one of mine has one. Whether they sell anything or get any information or not, they all have one. And you can tell them the difference here. Let me show you Jack's site real quick. Up here in the corner, there's a little lock symbol right there. If your site doesn't have one of those, talk to your ISP and get a secure server certificate on there. You'll probably be very pleasantly surprised that it won't cost you a dime. And they'll have it installed. It takes about 30 seconds to install one anymore. You don't have to go through all the crap that we used to 20 years ago to do this kind of thing. If you are selling things on your website, you will have to have an SSL. You'll have to have a secure server certificate because without one, the software that talks to the credit card processors will not work. They'll check for that. And without the SSL, it won't even work. Little notes about the SSL. It installs trust in your site. Users are savvy enough to know that, so they know that you went through the trouble of putting one on your site. Again, even if you're not selling one, if you just have a contact form on your site, if the communication between me on my computer and you on your end on your server so is intercepted, they can read our communication. Now that may be as simple as when's your next dance, okay? But there may be more sensitive things. Where having the SSL encrypts it, and I'm not going to bother with all the jargon about how that happens, but basically if somebody intercepts your communication, nobody will be able to decrypt it. All right, I'm going to have to put the mic down for just a second because I have to log in here. charm.
They kick you out.
Maybe.
So if you have any questions, be sure and just raise your hand. I'll come down with the mic.
And you'll answer them.
The laugh was Ray telling me that I'll answer them.
Sorry, we're running on my phone's internet connection, and it's, dog slow.
But faster than the hotels.
Okay, as Chris mentioned ago, one of the big key things that your website needs to be designed to do is what's called responsive. The site itself needs to know what kind of device is looking at this website. Built into your browser for your specific device, it'll give the width and height of the device itself, so that the website, if it's designed properly, will adjust accordingly. What you're looking at right now is Jack's site on a mobile device, or what it thinks is a mobile device. Something like 50% of the traffic not long ago, and this has been recent, 50% of the traffic now is done on mobile devices. I would not be afraid to say it's probably closer to 60% now. There's some statistics that Facebook, 80% of the people that visit Facebook do so on their phones. So Facebook went all out in designing all of their content and everything to be read easily on a mobile phone, and yours should be too. The next generation of dancers that we're actively trying to recruit, they live on these things. It's never, they're always there, they're always in their hands. You go to a lunch with them, and all 10 people around the table are all chatting with one another. Once again, Google has changed their search algorithms to detect whether or not you're mobile friendly. And if not, again, your search rankings will go down. Okay, if you gotta have at least just one tool on your website, make it a calendar. Right? To me, the calendar is the most important tool in a club or caller's website. All things considered, as a dancer, I don't have any problem with driving 2 hours one way if it's a caller that I really enjoy dancing to. But if the calendar is out of date, I'm not going to take the chance. As a matter of fact, that's my significant other back there. It's Kathy. Say hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Kathy and I went all the way down to see Jack Blatties. And he decided to cancel the dance, but he didn't update his calendar. His 3-hour round trip. Yeah. Jack, I maintain your website. I can make it say whatever I want it to say. Anyway, Google Calendar is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, and it's easy to install. It really is. But for every website that I design for a calendar, I use another product called Team Up. And again, I'm going to have to log into that, and I apologize, but let me get over there real quick.
So I noticed that you're using a password manager program.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're using LastPass. Would you recommend a password manager
Absolutely.
program? Absolutely, the answer is. So just a little side tidbit, use a password manager. Yes, a question, let me get down there.
I just wanted, I'm Cynthia Martin. I just wanted to ask, because I don't know, how do you put the recognition of what kind of cell phone it is on there?
You don't. The browser on your phone knows, and it will tell the website, and the website reads the heading that is delivered when a visitor comes, and it knows to adjust accordingly. You don't have to do a thing other than build it responsibly in the first place.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
This way.
Ma'am?
State your name and where you're from.
David Starbuck.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying if you're setting up your website, you use your mobile phone to do it then, so it recognizes that's what the device is.
Depending on how you build your website, I use something, I'm gonna get into the woods here, and I'll try to make it as easy as possible. To build websites, I use a tool called Elementor Pro. I have a developer's license, so I can put it on as many sites as I like to do that. And it takes care of the heavy lifting for me. Instead of me having to write the actual code to say, hey, make sure that this is a responsive site, Elementor just builds it in for me. So instead of it taking 2 or 3 weeks for me to build a website, I can knock a website, in fact, all right, I'm gonna brag here. 2024's Ohio Convention, I built it in 1 day, where normally it would have taken me a week to build. I mean, the full e-commerce, take payments and everything else too, and it's because of tools like Elementor Pro, and there are a lot of others. I'm not recommending Elementor Pro, that's not a commercial for them. There's a Bricks, there's one that Jackson used for building theirs. But anyway, there's a ton of different website builders within WordPress that makes that a no-brainer to build a responsive site. Does that help, sir? Alright, let me get back over to TeamUp. TeamUp is a calendaring program. I find it to be superior to Google in several ways. One of them, ironically, is it has a better search engine. When I go to search for an event or something, it does it all in strings, and it's remarkably fast and much easier to use than Google's. I have the paid version of TeamUp. They recently jacked their rates up horrendously, but I guess they ran on a loss for the longest time. But I get up to, for my Columbus Square Dance site, let me get back over here real quick. That's not them, that's them. Why aren't you going there? There we go. On our Columbus Square Dance site, I have up to 50 calendars. So each club, each club's classes, special events, they all have their own separate calendars. On the free version of TeamUp, which the majority of sites that I include them on, you get 8 sub-calendars. So you can have give me plus dances, advanced dances, you give me special events, give me classes, give me all things. 8 seems to be more than enough for almost everybody if you're not a statewide organization where you've got 20 or 30 clubs that all have their own individual schedules and everything. And now I've lost every link. All right. That's okay. I can get it back. One of the advantages of TeamUp, and I believe this is still in the free version, let me pull up Tom Davis's calendar again, is that there's a weekly A2 class that he holds, and COVID all knocked us on our ass, so sometimes it's a chore just to get a square to show up sometimes. So to prevent people, Kathy and I, we travel from Columbus, the course is in Dayton, it's a 90-mile one trip, and to prevent us from having to do that, for people that come from other areas, within TeamUp itself, you see these little black flags right there? What that means is if I click that thing open, I can hit this sign up button and I can give my name and email address and I'm gonna be there. And you can set that anybody can see who's coming, or that only the moderator can see who's coming, but it's really helpful to know, hey, look, we got 8 people coming. Great, we got a square. Come on down. Yes, sir.
Al Frazier. Do we update ourselves, or is that something that you update?
For any of the sites that I build for people, I update everything except the calendar. I leave the calendar to the club, or else I feel mad, changing entries and stuff. So I leave that, but it is fall off a log easy to update this thing. It is just bone stupid how easy this thing is to update. I never have to teach a thing about it. I just go here, punch some buttons, and then you can tell right away. One of the nice parts about it is it has a recurring option in there. So if you've got a class that's going to run for 20 weeks or so, you just hit the recurring option, give a start and end date and times and everything, fills them all out in one shot. I love that, and that's in the free version also. So Team Up is a really powerful calendaring thing, easy to embed, easy to share. They took away, in the paid version, you can actually sign up for notifications. Two different kind of notifications, but they took one of those away in the paid, in the new free version. I don't remember what it was. Yes, sir.
Robert Sachs out of Seattle. Is this Team Up, is this available for use in WordPress? If I'm going to a hosting site that uses WordPress to build the site?
It has an embed function, which leads me to believe that it can be used in a non-WordPress site. In fact, that's the way I embed it, is use HTML code. So it should be able to work in a non-WordPress site just fine too.
But if I'm building a site through hosting like Ionis, and it's using WordPress, can I still pull this up and embed?
Who are you developing it with?
Just me.
I mean, are you on Wix or Weebly or?
Ionis. IONOS.
Oh, okay. As long as they allow you to put in HTML code, you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah. One last thing to show you about this, let's see if I can find it. This is my buddy Ken Burke. What we built using Team Up is a rudimentary booking calendar. People can go in here and they can actually select, even though they're not logged in or anything, they can select a spot on the calendar and request a date. They can see what else is that Ken's already got going on that date. But if you go ahead and put it in there, and then Ken goes through and approves them, gets a hold of them, contacts them. There's a space for their contact information put in there. So again, it's included in the free one. You really can't beat Team Up. You really can't. It is an absolutely marvelous program, and how they give it away for free just blows my mind away sometimes. When people are coming to your website, they're obviously looking for information. Because I build a lot of commercial websites too, my guiding mantra for this is you should have every bit of information on the website so that the end user can make a buying decision without having to contact you, all right? When do we open? What do we sell? How much does it cost? When can it be delivered? You know, and the same with dances and stuff. That's what the calendars are for, you know, on a caller schedule. If you think about it, that's what your product is as a caller, your dances. You're selling your dances. So you gotta tell them what's available. Price is a sensitive topic, I understand that, you know, but your availability, throw that out there. And that way they can make the buying decision, hey, on June 24th, I can go see John, you know? That's how they make the buying decision. But every once in a while, somebody's going to have a question that is not covered, and there was no way for you to forecast that, so you got to have a contact form. And you need to make it very evident on the menu, like it's there, contact, hit that. Ted Lazat on his website, he actually has his email address. I'm not a big fan of that. The spam scrapers come by and they just scoop that stuff up, right? But it's hard for them to read a contact form. I put 2 hidden fields in every contact form. One is a CAPTCHA run by Google, you know, and it helps look at patterns of the contact information that come through, and it's really good. It's about an 85% throwing spam out. You never see it. But the other is called a honeypot, and it's an invisible field that users, that real humans, can't see. But the spam bots see it, and they fill it in. So if it gets filled in, well, that's a spam bot. You just throw the form away from there. I'm not a big fan of putting phone numbers on the site either, but Tom and his wife Bernice, they wanted their phone numbers on there. So my only caveat about throwing your phone numbers on there, if you do so, make sure you design it so that when you click on it with a mobile device, it opens up the phone app. And that's brain dead easy to do. It's really simple to do, so do that.
Would you recommend then that we, instead of our actual phone number, is purchasing a 1-800 number or some other number that actually translates or goes back to our original phone number.
I don't see it's harder for the scammers to get a phone number to call. There's a cost to that, where there isn't so much for email. And also, I wouldn't bother going through the expense of doing that. No, sorry. I do have a pet peeve about email. If you have your own domain, please, dear God, use your domain as your email address. Don't use Hotmail or Yahoo or, God forbid, AOL. Even if that's your real email address, don't use it. It's a sign of digital sophistication that you're using your domain as your email address. Jack at jackpatties.com, Tony at tonyoxendine.com, Buddy at buddyweaver.com. Use that, all right? And we can set a whole bunch of other email things too. For instance, I always add 3 email addresses right off the bat. Admin at whatever the domain is, contact at whatever the domain is, and then the owner gets one. Now, it's easy to set up that you can send and receive, but here lately, I've run into a lot of people going, I don't want to go through all that crap. So what you can do is set up what's called forwarding, all right? And you simply forward from admin at whatever to the real email address, and then you can respond, all day long from your real email address. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, well, a video's got to be worth 1,000,000. All right. If you have watched any of my videos on my YouTube channel or so, you'll see that I'm all the time pushing video. Videos are shared 12 times more the links and text combined. All right. Show, not tell. You'll hear me tomorrow in the marketing thing. You'll hear me say that a lot. Show, not tell. This is Jeremy Butler's site. We built in his YouTube playlist. It's here in the corner. Anybody can come through and get a sample of all of his videos and everything. If you're not videoing your dances, do so. All right. That tripod cost me $70. It was one of the pricier ones, but you can get a tripod for $25. You can get them at Walmart for $20 or so. Mount your phone on the doggone thing and video your performances. Video them all. Every dance that you go to, every special event for sure. I mean, putting the mic down here. This is my buddy Jason Raleigh. He's in Columbus with me. We put together a little highlight reel here, right there on his homepage, 90 seconds long, all right? And it just takes clips of different dances or stuff. So anybody looking to hire Jason, in 90 seconds, they know everything they need to know about whether or not this is going to be a good fit for him. I wonder if sound's going to come through. So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but yeah, absolutely, throw a video on it, because people are going to watch videos of what you do better than anybody else, and let them make that buying decision because you showed them, not you didn't tell them. I'm a great caller, they know that. Tell me, show me, that's what I want to say. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Make your website visually appealing. Now this is going to be the most subjective thing I talk about on here, but what's visually appealing to you may not be visually appealing to me, and vice versa. And I said this last year, and I got a kick out of doing this. You callers, you guys, remember, I'm not a caller, I'm a dancer, all right? You guys are our rock stars, okay? If you think about it, you get up on stage, and you come up with these amazing mental puzzles, and you get us twisted in 9 different ways and everything, and 2 calls later there's an Allen man left, and we're going, my God, how'd they do that? You know, you guys are a rock star, so your websites should represent that. Because once you're all done, you go, yeah, no big deal. Anybody can do this. No, we can't. You guys are really good at this. So use that. Make yourself on your website larger than life, because that's what you are to us dancers, all right? Sell yourself. It's an entertainer site. Sell yourself. And I know telling a whole room full of people with egos bigger than battleships to sell yourself, but seriously, if you're not going to sell yourself, who is, okay? So do it yourself. And if you need some inspiration, the best that I have found is go out and take a look at some of the country and western stars. Alan Jackson, let me make this ad go away. I mean, he's king of the world. He's just sitting there, he's reposed, he's like, I got this, all right? So Reba's site is big smile, greeting you there. It's like, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna entertain you. I'm gonna have a good time with you. This is what your caller site should look like. Tim McGraw, same way. Tim's is a real sparse site, but I love it. It's just him and his calendar, which is not showing up for some reason. So maybe Tim is retired, I don't know. Well, it's not gonna let me do it. Come on, Tim, come on up here. But anyway, this is the point that I'm trying to get across. Make your site larger than life. You're the entertainer, as Harlan was talking about in there, and as Eric was talking about in his keynote address. Entertain, but visualize it on your website and everything. I got you. I got this. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to have a good time with me, and you can show that in images and pictures. Okay, let me talk about another potentially boring thing, domain names. Everybody know what a domain name is? Google.com, Yahoo.com, YouTube.com. Those are all domain names. The .com is something called a top-level domain. There's .com, .net, .org, and the agency that governs those top-level domains recently released, I don't know, 9 bazillion of them. I mean, there's .lawyer, .dog crap probably. There's just every kind of top-level domain available out there. So the best domain to get for your site is your name. Okay, RayOwens.com, BuddyWeaver.com, EricHeinerlaw.com. If you can get your name, excellent. That's right. That's solid gold and everything. If you haven't reserved your name already, and your name is John Smith, you may have some trouble finding a domain somewhere to put that on. But here's what I want to bring up. Even if you have a domain already, you can reserve other domains and point those domains to your existing website. And this is where it gets fun with marketing part of it and all. Let's see if it retained my search. Yes, it did. I went in to search GoDaddy for worldsgreatestcaller.com. It is available. It'll cost you $19.99 a year. All right. In a real world use, this is my buddy Dan Nordby out of Oregon. When we built Dan's site, we called him the worldsbestcaller.com. The advantage of this is Dan can stand up on the stage and go, I am the world's best caller. It's on the internet. It must be true. But use this kind of stuff. I have a t-shirt. That I made that I wear when I dance. It says, I'm the 3rd sexiest dancer on this floor. Okay? Now, if I had said I was the sexiest dancer, people would go, yeah, get real, all right? But the 3rd sexiest, that brings up conversation. Everybody wants to know who the 1st and 2nd one is, you know? And I usually tell them they're still counting hanging chads in Florida, you know, we don't know yet. Or can you imagine the poor son of a bitch that came in 4th, you know, gosh. But we took that back to my buddy Ken, and Ken knew about my shirt. He said, well, make me the 3rd best caller. So we did, but we also made a t-shirt that say it, thirdbestcaller.com. He sold a dozen of the doggone things so far. It's great. Now, you can't see that little banner up there, but what it says is, in your guts, you know he's nuts. So. But I came up with about 60 world's greatest caller, best caller, smallest or smartest caller on earth, hottest caller, sexiest caller. All of that's available out there. And you don't need to upset your existing website. It's just another domain. In real life, what I really do for a living, I own a massage therapy business in Columbus, Ohio. I've got a dozen therapists that work for me and all. We've been in business a little over 20 years now. Okay? So The name of my company is In the Bag Massage, but for the longest time I had $35massage.com, $40massage.com, $50massage.com. Our phone number, 614backrub.com, is one of our domain names. And they all point to the same site. So whatever marketing thing that I'm doing at the time, whatever I think will get across the message to whatever, I use that domain name to point people to our website. Okay? If it's easier to remember, $50massage.com, great. I don't have to tell you In the Bag, which is another whole story how we got that name. But still. Let's see here. One other thing about domains, everybody's familiar with the big three, the .com, the .org, and the .net. A .com address would be familiar even to most people that aren't computer savvy at all, you know, and you can credit that to GoDaddy with their commercials, .com, you remember those commercials and everything? Yeah. But there's another top level domain that I use all the time, is .dance. It's not as well known, okay? It's a completely valid thing, but especially if you can't get your name on the .com, net, or org, everything, go with .dance because it's wide open. There's all kind of stuff out there with .dance on it. Here's my buddy Chuck Woods out of Indiana and Kentucky. Chuck, we got Chuck.dance. You remember the mobile stuff I was talking about, making mobile friendly and everything? The domains work that way too. I have a website, God bless them, Al knows, Glastonbury, the Square Dance Club. That's their URL, GlastonburySquareDanceClub.com. You want me to type that into a phone? Are you serious? Make the domains nice and short so that it's easy to type on the phone, okay? Chuck.dance. Could you get any simpler? That's the 2 one-syllable words, for crying out loud. Now, Chuck's fiance is Christy Williams. Nobody can spell Christy. Is it C-H-R-I-S-T-Y? Is it K-R-I-S-T-Y? People call her Chrissy, and some people think she's Pam Quartz, which blows my mind. So. But instead of going through and reserving all of the domains for all the possible spellings, we got it really simple. Hers is kw.dance, ChristyWilliams.dance. I mean, a 2-letter domain name is solid gold, and you can find those on the .dance domain. You won't be able to find one on the .com. They're all gone. They're all gone, okay? But the 2-level ones on .dance, they're out there, and you can find them, you know. So if you have a difficult name to spell, particularly, I had a chiropractor. Her last name is Gardner. Well, is that G-A-R-D-N-E-R or G-A-R-D-E-N-E-R? So we had to reserve both at the time, but use the .dance, you can find all kinds of 2-letter domain names. Yes, sir.
So if somebody goes into the search engine and does dance, will it show up then as a keyword with the dot?
If you plug in, if I was to plug in Christy Williams, it would come up and show her site. Google doesn't downgrade anything because it's using a different top-level domain. The agency that does all the top domains is something called ICANN, I-C-A-N-N, and they're the ones responsible for making all of those, and Google works in close concert with them already. So there is no penalty, if you would, for having a non-traditional top-level domain. Does that answer your question, sir? Oh.
I think he was interested in whether dance would be a keyword if you use the .dance domain.
Oh, let's try it and see. Hang on. Well, it tells that Lynn Goodman, Dancing with the Stars, dies at 78. So I don't know if that.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, probably not. Not if you just type in .dance or so. But back to the GoDaddy registrar, and I'm not recommending GoDaddy. I use them to register all of mine. They can register a .dance for you, but in answer specifically to your question,
I would say, you know, if you want dance to be a keyword for finding your website, you would put it someplace. I think there are ways of doing that in your HTML, I know. And you can also just do it on the page. You know, you're using dance, so it should show up.
Okay.
So speaking of that, do you want to talk at all about there is a place in the HTML code where you can give keywords about that you want the search engines to look for?
What you're talking about is SEO, search engine optimization, okay? And it's the ability to, inside of the headings and the top level in between the titles and everything, to put keywords. I'm not a proponent of SEO. And the reason why I'm not that I promote it, I don't, is because, again, back to Google and their 800-pound gorilla status. Google changes their search algorithms to combat that very thing. That people gaming the system by putting keywords into their websites to try and get higher rankings. So Google has a frequent search engine, and we'll just change this and drop all those keywords are. The way that Google started their initial searches were based on a website, how many people linked to you, and the more you linked, that obviously was how more popular were you, and that's what led you to the higher search rankings. People started to game that too. They were going out and buying a bunch of dummy websites and click farms, and they were tying it all back together and all. So Google's constantly changing their algorithm. I don't even bother with the other search engines. You'll see the SEO optimization. Well, we'll get you on 100 search engines. And I'm going, there's 100 search engines? Hell, I didn't know that. Yes, ma'am.
Pam Clasper from Toronto. Back to domain names. I just want to mention we are an international organization, and other countries use other domains as well. For instance, our domain for my husband Barry's website is clasper.ca.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
Kansas being the
a
top level domain, yes.
.ca is a Canadian. It's not California. You got just something .ca. Europe, Japan, all have different protocols and different places where you get your domain name. But I just wanted to point that out because we're such an international organization.
Thank you. I appreciate the update on that. Yes, you're absolutely right. And there's some domain names that are really kind of clever. Not that it would apply too much to square dancing, but .tv, which is a little island called Tivoli, T-A-V-O-L-I, and they make like all of their GDP based on domain registrations. All the family.tv, that kind of thing. So, let's see. How are we doing on timer, Chris?
We are at 11:15, so
Okay.
we have half an hour.
Didn't we start at 10:30?
Lunch is at 11:45,
Yeah,
so.
we stopped we're doing an hour and 15 minutes.
We are? Okay.
Surprise!
Let's talk about website builders a little bit. Now, CALLERLAB said specifically that I can't talk about my own products and everything. What are they going to do? I'm not a caller. They can't fire me. So, the website that I built years ago called Square Dance Tech, and I do it to promote square dancing. The schedule that you may be using on your phone, that's on Square Dance Tech's site. Okay, and I do those free of charge. For any event that wants to do it. I do it for the Ohio State event, for Indiana, Michigan, and a whole bunch of other, CALLERLAB, obviously, WASCA, I did it for them and everything. And I don't charge anybody to do that. Let me see if I can do this without screwing things up. Promotional videos. This I'm going to cover a lot in tomorrow's in digital marketing, but boy, I don't know if he's going to load with such a slow connection, but promotional videos for primarily for recruiting new dancers and all. I will periodically put one of these out there. I think I've got 9 or 10 out here right now. I will customize it for your club or organization or caller or whatever you want. If you have a caller on a website, I'll do those. And some of them are kind of simplistic. This laser logo, one people started to like or so. But again, I do this at no cost also because I'm trying to promote square dancing. That's what I live for, to promote square dancing. Right? So I do these kind of things for free. Let's throw this off real quick while we're here. I am not a fan of the 70s style clip art that we seem to be addicted to. So I use, and everybody's probably heard of the explosion of the artificial intelligence, the chat GPT and everything else too. There's an artificial image generator called Midjourney. It's the Cadillac of the AI image generators, and I use Midjourney to generate new square dancing art every single month, all right? And I give it away for free. You can use these in your flyers, in your marketing pieces, whatever you want to use. All you got to do is find one that you like and download it. All of the images that you see here, if there's actually people in them, these people are not real. They don't exist. They never existed. Google simply amalgamated some real people together to make these images.
So what kind of prompts did you use?
Generally with square dancing, it's pretty simple. Who'd ask that? Oh, did you ask that? Like I'll put middle-aged couple dressed casually dancing. Because if I say square dancing, or if I say line dancing, it'll put cowboy hats and petticoats on people and everything. So I learned long ago to quit doing that kind of thing. But there's different styles too. These the black and white images, those are a pictogram kind of style. This particular image right there, the watercolor, that's what I said, make me a watercolor picture out of it. There's I don't know that I put these in here, let me see. Yeah, it's like, I would dance with these people, they look nice. Let me back out of here.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any of youth?
Any of me?
No, youth.
Oh, youth. Yes. Yeah, I do.
April Kendall, California, do you have any pictures of youth?
Yes.
Because this is who we would like to market.
I think towards the bottom of this month's, I have more, there's some younger dancers there. It's more in a round dance kind of environment. And this is just one photo. There are literally thousands of pictures out here, so I encourage you to look through there. I don't concentrate much on the youth, and my bias is because that's not who our demographics are. In my opinion, that's not who our demographics are. Our demographics are the 45 and up. And the reason why I think that, but let me tell you a story about in Ohio, central Ohio, we have a place called Malabar Farms. It's a state-run park. And in the warm months in Ohio, which is July 4th, but in the warm months, they open it up and they have an Eastern-style hoedown. And college kids come from 100 miles around to dance to this thing. It's so much fun, and they have so much energy, and they have a great time. In my opinion, we're never going to get those dancers, but we should have one of those kind of events every month, at least, every month in every jurisdiction, so that we plant the seeds, so that 20 years from now, when they're advanced in their career, when their kids are old enough to stay on their own, and they're looking at each other going, what do you want to do, honey? And they go find square dancing. So I don't do a lot of youth-generated pictures, again, because I don't feel that it's our demographic, but I'm easy to change that and add some if you need to.
April Kendall again. The youth are our legacy. If we don't have the youth in square dancing to later on, whenever, if they have a good time dancing when they're young, they're going to come back to it. But they're our legacy. Everybody is getting older. And if we don't have younger people, we're a dying breed. So that's my opinion.
And I don't disagree with the opinion that they are. I just don't think we're going to get them. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to short circuit this discussion because we got to finish up this other stuff. But I'm happy to drink a beer with you. We'll talk about this all day.
Hi, Bonnie Abramson from California. Could you repeat where we can find these images?
Yeah, squaredancetech.com. And then just look for artwork in the menu. And it's there. And there's a oh gosh, where did I hide it? Here it is. And if you scroll down, there's a whole table of all the artwork that's out there. All you got to do is click on where it says click here, and it'll open up that folder in Google Photos. You right click on the photos that you like. You Get off topic just a little bit. The U.S. Copyright Office recently came through with a case and everything and said that that AI-generated artwork is not copyrightable because it's not produced by a human being. There was a person that created a comic book with nothing but AI art and lost the copyright to the individual images. They kept the compilation copyright of the document of the comic book, but they cannot claim a copyright on the individual images because they were not produced by a human being. So, that said, back to this kind of stuff, you don't have any copyright issues in using my artwork. You're not, nobody's gonna come knocking on your door with a claim saying, hey, that's my artwork. No, that's not gonna happen. You don't have to attribute me. Be nice if you drop me a line and say, hey, we'll use your thing. That's cool to hear, but you don't have to even do that. Just use them in your flyers and everything else.
Dan Sahlstrom, what about videos? And when your site loads, if you have a bunch of videos on there, doesn't that take longer? And you need permission from people, or you just take it in advance?
In videos, put them on YouTube. Do not put them on your site. That's what's going to slow them down. Put them on YouTube. Use YouTube servers, free of charge. Build you a playlist of them and out there. In all of the websites that I feature that have videos at all, stick them on YouTube. And that way you can maintain them yourself too. Now, as far as the very thorny issue of getting people's permission to hear you are in public, I can video you as much as I want. All right, I can post this on social media as much as I want. The bitch of the problem is though, is if I take those videos and use them for commercial purposes, then you got a problem. And to my knowledge, I'm not a lawyer, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a definitive answer on that yet. So my fallback rule is if somebody walks up to me and says, can you not post me on the internet, can you not put my picture or video on there, I would move heaven and earth not to do that. I got 10,000 other hours of stuff that I can use well. I don't want to tick somebody off. I don't want to be a jerk about it. But as long as I don't intentionally use it for commercial purposes and make money off your image, you would have a legal claim to that. And the case law, as I understand it, doesn't appear to be clear in the answer right now. Yes, sir.
Eric, federal law, according to California, had changed subjects a little bit, to change direction a little bit on this thing. We've been talking. This is very good by the way. Thank you, appreciate it. Very good at the technical aspects about website development, putting your technology together, make a good, compelling, use of technology. When we do this, we think about who we're addressing as an audience. What message are we trying to communicate? All right, I don't know if we can discuss that at all in this session or not, but really it comes down to what you want your website to say, who is saying it, who do you want to hear that message. For instance, clubs have their message about their club website. Callers have their website. Callers have their own website or what they want to present. Festivals have their website, what they want to present. Who is the audience? What are they trying to present? Are we going to talk about that?
No, we're not. This is
content, more content.
Yeah, tomorrow in the digital marketing, I'm going to cover that very thing.
Okay, great.
Make sure you know who your target audience is, who you're marketing to. I specifically talk about marketing to traditional couples. Just as an example, and really briefly, if you don't target the women, if you don't target the ladies in the relationship, targeting to a guy isn't going to do any good. The guy's not going to come home and go, honey, I'm going to go dancing with other women for 40 weeks. Do you have a problem with that? Yeah, that's not going to fly. So yes, sir, in tomorrow's digital thing, I'm going to cover that.
That's funny.
Tell me we ate up more than a minute, Chris, right? You have 15 minutes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Janice Chaw from Glenview Squares in Glenview, Illinois. Yeah, I know you. This is super interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've already got some good points and things to take back to our website.
Thank you.
My question is, what are some easy-to-use platforms for callers who may not have a website yet? For example,
I'm about to get to that.
what you're about to get to.
That's the very next item.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I will continue to take notes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
that's where I was going.
Okay, gotcha.
Where, you know, if you don't have one.
Yeah, not a problem. Now, where I was going with it was Square Dance Tech. All this stuff that I do, that I give away for free, it's gotta be funded somehow. I've got tremendous server bills. So the way that I do that is I build websites, all right? Being a Square Dancer, I have kind of an in already. I know what Square Dancing is all about. I don't have to, you know, approach some developer who has no idea what we're about and try to get the concept across to them. Back to Eric's, you know, who are we marketing to and everything. I know who we're marketing to, I think, all right? So, but there is a huge disadvantage of hiring somebody like me to do your website. What if I die? My running joke is that the 22-year-old playmate I'm seeing on the side, when her boyfriend finds out, it's all over. But Kathy hates that joke. She's like, you're not gonna have to mention it anymore. I'll take care of this. Yeah, so. But there are several providers that you can build a website with, and in no particular order. Okay.
Just a second.
Yes, sir.
May I have a question?
Yeah.
I'm Hiroshi Nakanga from Japan.
Yes, sir.
I'm in charge of the webmaster in Japan JSD organizations, but I'm not a professional designer. So
Right.
I'm very anxious about our website is for the good for dancers in Japan or not. So
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to change the professional. So I'd like to ask you about the multi-language translation from English to Japanese or upside down.
So the ultimate tool.
Is there your recommendation? What is a good tool?
Google Translate.
Google Translation.
Without doubt. Google Translate.
Or
Yeah.
DeepL translator is a good.
Yes, Google Translate, absolutely.
I wonder how to use into the website.
There's actually
in a web browser option, expanded option. There's a translator.
Yes, yeah. There's a plugin for that. And you can tell people right there on your homepage, you know, if you're seeing this in a language you don't get Google Translate, click up here and it will translate it into the language that they need. So you only have to write it in your native language, and then Google Translate does a tremendous job of changing it into any other language or so. Unless you run across a lot of the idiomatic phrases like, well, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but those don't translate well, but plain text will translate with no problem whatsoever. Does that help, sir? Okay. All right, so again, in those particular order here, this is Squarespace. Squarespace runs a lot of ads. Let's see, where are my notes here about Squarespace? I'll go back to that minute. They don't have a free tier. You got to start off by paying the Squarespace or so, and their least expensive plan will run you $192 a year for a non-e-commerce site. But you know, they give you things like they let you use your own domains. There's some of these providers that don't. Every one of the ones that I'm going to talk about, they use a drag and drop thing. Like instead of you having to go, okay, open bracket img equals ... jpg with equal, you don't have to do that crap. You say, where do you want a picture? Drag the picture and stick it there, and the coding will do it for you automatically. Okay. Squarespace is one of those. Let me go back and look at the notes I had about this. Of the web builders that I'm going to show you, the Squarespace and some others, the free versions, they honestly don't give you much. Okay. Now, if you're looking for a 24-hour business card, you know, name, picture, dates, phone number, email address, if that's all you're looking for, you can probably get by with one of the free ones and everything. But if you're looking to sell something, or you want to use your own domain, then you got to start paying more money. You know, the more stuff that you want done, the more that you have to pay. In fact, I talked to Janice about this just yesterday at the reception. You're looking to update the Illinois convention site. And Janice was on the education committee for the Evansville Convention, and her and Janet Lewis, thank you. They did a remarkable job creating the education aspect of it. They did it all on Wix, and it was a remarkable thing. It was beautiful. It was very professionally done. And did it cost you anything? Were you guys using the paid version?
Janet is all free all the time.
She did? Okay, all right. And it was great, but I mean, it was really a well-done thing, and you can do a remarkable amount of these without having to know one single line of code. You don't have to be a programmer whatsoever. All of these sites, if we get through and however long Chris has me keep talking, they all can do this kind of thing. Most of these sites, all of these sites have really nice templates too. So, it gives you a choice. Oh, I like this one, or I like this color scheme, or something like that. You can go to template town and start filling in information over there. All right, let's see, Squarespace. Then there's Weebly. Weebly's got a free tier, but you got to use their made-up domain name. So it would be Kathy.Weebler.com. You wouldn't be able to use thirdsexiestcaller.com or something like that. You got to do that kind of stuff. You got to bump up to their lowest paid tier, which is $156 a year for that. It does include a shopping cart, that $156 one. Some of the lower things don't. So if you want to sell T-shirts like Ken's doing, you could do that for $150 a year. Wix seems to have more templates than just about everybody, and that's what you guys did. The education side of it was Wix. It's really good, but their pricing is a little steep. For a personal site, you're looking at about $192 a year. And I just looked these up this week, so I know the rates, unless they raised them yesterday, these are pretty current. If you need a lot of hand-holding to do this kind of stuff, it's as much as $540 a year, which includes the hosting and everything else too. So now, GoDaddy has their own website builder. I recommend it. All my websites for a while were on GoDaddy. Their servers are dog slow. If you're trying to run an e-commerce site and you press a button and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait for the cart to go, everybody instantaneous. I don't see that stuff pop up now. Stay away from GoDaddy servers. They're great for a registrar. All of my sites are registered through GoDaddy and everything, but as far as the actual servers that drive the websites, go to anything else other than GoDaddy. I'm out of material, Chris. Done talking.
Okay, questions? Yes, indeed.
Alan Mercer, you said there a while ago about going and letting you build us a website, or us building our own website.
Yes, sir.
If we let you build it and something happens to you, then what happens to our website?
Well, it depends how much. I always recommend, and not all sites will do this, but I always recommend that you keep your domain name, that you register your domain name. So if I get hit by a bus, you can at least take your domain name and point it somewhere else. If I have your domain name, it comes into my estate. And then we got to work through it. Now, I've got a couple of people, my daughters, for example, help me out with this. They know my emergency plan. They have contacted every client I have, reach out to them. Where I host all of my sites is on an ISP called SiteGround. Rock solid service, great support. And I have talked to them over the last few years and said, something happens to me, can you guys help? And they're like, absolutely, all right? There's even built-in things. I just built one for one of the federations in Oklahoma. Their Central Federation I built for them. And they've got a guy on staff who's every bit as good as I am at web design and everything. So what I did was I made him through SiteGround as a collaborator, which I can do to anybody, but he knows what he's doing, all right? And not to say that you may not, I have no idea what your level of, but if you don't know what you're doing, at least as if you're a collaborator in that kind of thing, you can drag some 13-year-old kid and say, fix this. And then they can move it to some other site. And then you'll still be up and going and everything. Or you can choose to stay with SiteGround or what, there's endless choices that way. But I try to build in as much protection as I can. Unfortunately, we're not Square Dancing isn't staffed by a bunch of web designers and a bunch of network engineers and everything. We don't, that's not our talent base and everything. So if I was to tell ABC Square Dancing Club, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, I mean, even freaks them out to go, well, I need you to change the DNS settings. But what? So I try to measure it. If you're comfortable with this much give and take, absolutely I can give it to you. Which is a protection you get when Kathy kills me over that 22-year-old playmate back there. So.
Yeah, John Sloper from Mesa, Arizona. We talked in the past. I've got 2 sites. Do any of these website builders have the capability of doing them independently for a drag and drop to another site?
I don't know.
Because one of the things I'm looking at, I mean, I've got the files at home, and I'll work with them, and I'll just push what I've done over to my
What do you do in your sites on now?
Well, I've got a Santa Claus and my Square Dance.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
But are they in WordPress or are they in some other
It's
content management?
basic HTML.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I would guess no, only because they're not catering to you. You know what you're doing.
Sort of.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you sit there and you wrote all the HTML code for it and everything, that would simply be an import over here, and they're in the no. We want to take care of the people who don't know how to do that. So I bet I'm guessing their platforms would not accommodate something like that.
Okay.
Now, if you were building it in something like WordPress, almost every ISP has the ability to transfer, WordPress or Joomla or some of the other content management services and everything. They can do that. Yeah.
I'll have to look a little deeper.
Yeah. I would guess not, probably so. Any other questions? Comments, brickbats, things you want to throw in? Yeah. There's an app for that.
Pam Klasper from Toronto. You've just briefly mentioned it a couple of times. Can you talk a bit about WordPress and content management programs, please?
WordPress is by far the most popular. It's called CMS, a content management system. All right. There's WordPress, there's Joomla, and there's a couple others that are escaping my thought. Those are the big two. Those two. WordPress. The last time I saw a stat, powers like 1 out of every 6 sites on the internet. WordPress is ubiquitous. It started as a blogging program, but it's become so much more powerful. Everything I do is in WordPress. That Elementor Pro that I brought about, it works in WordPress. It works natively in WordPress. There are literally tens of thousands of plugins, which are basically little programs that you can plug in there and do things with. So it'd be my recommendation to go with a WordPress-based system because it is so ubiquitous, because it is so out there and everything. Literally, you could drag some kid from middle school over, and he's going to know WordPress for crying out loud.
Yeah, the CALLERLAB website is in WordPress. Knowledgebase.callerlab.org is in WordPress. Teaching.callerlab.org is in WordPress. So just.
Roy Goddard from New Jersey. I came in a little late, so we're going to talk. But once you build a website, and then I'm a little bit familiar with WordPress, so then managing and updating and all that sort of stuff, we can then do ourselves. We don't have to send the info to you. In other words, I want to update my calendar, I want to maybe add a picture or two.
If I build a website for you, I do all the maintenance except the calendar. I want to keep you out of it completely. You hired me to maintain your website, so I take those duties as a webmaster seriously. And tooting my own horn here, I amaze people. They'll send me something and I have it updated in 10 minutes or so instead of having to wait a week for what I hear most traditional webmasters do. No, you guys got to be in business up all the time. I said that I own a massage therapy business. The pandemic took my admin staff, me included, out of my office. So we do everything remotely. I'm sitting in front of my computer 18 hours a day anyway. So if I get an email requesting from somebody to change something, I'm there. I just log in, change it, and go on the way. With the exception of the calendars. Again, the calendars I leave to the clubs and everything. I'll let you do that. I'll show you how to do it and let you take off.
All right. we have used our time. Yay! So, thank you, Ray Ellen. Thank you. And to all, if you like the panel, put it on your feedback sheet and let us know, and we can do it again. So, thank you, Ray. Thank you. Have a great lunch.
Thank you so much.